Welcome back, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thanks for joining us on this wonderful Monday here. It is officially summer, the first day of summer, and things are heating up in a galaxy far, far away. Maybe. I don't know. But,
everything takes place on a sand planet, so it's already been heating up for however many
I mean,
years.
they have two suns, so everything's always heating up. It's hard. You age quickly. It's horrible living on the outer rim. But we are here in the Resistance base. It is climate controlled, so that is good. And with me in that climate controlled Resistance base is James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin. So what's going on with you two? How you doing?
Well, first of all, happy belated Father's Day. You two fathers.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! And happy Father-to-Be's Day to Matthew.
Don't call him Matthew. His mom calls him Matthew. Ew.
Father.
Anytime I hear the word Matthew, I'm like, ugh.
Right.
We did a barbecue, but I don't know why I'm talking first because I'm not a dad, but we did a barbecue. It's fine.
Yeah.
I asked you guys and I was like, oh, but my day. Anyway, Go ahead.
Yeah, I just went to my parents' house and hung out with my dad and my grandpa. He's 91 and still rocking and rolling.
Good for him.
Yeah. So, yeah, we did that. We just got some food from a local deli, like cold cuts and some cool appetizers and that sort of thing, and just had a sort of a low-key family day. Yeah. How about you, James?
Loki family. So you watched Loki? Is that what you said?
Oh, that show is so good. Don't get me started. It is so good.
I haven't watched it yet. There's so many things I haven't watched.
It's so good.
No, nothing too crazy. It's funny that Bennett always, like, I can always tell the day that, like, the present gets picked out, like that it's purchased, because Bennett is like, I have to give it to you, like, right now. He gets, like, so excited. It's pretty funny.
Aww.
But no, he has to wait until Father's Day, so that was fun for him.
My parents got a kitten this past week, so that's been like my dad's like now another kind of father because he's now another baby animal father. He's obsessed. He's obsessed with his little kitten.
Very nice.
I think he's naming it Angus. That's the name he came up with. Interesting. Oh, Bill Gill.
Cool. So we have some cool stories we're going to get into in a little bit.
Yeah.
What I want to say real quick is to everyone who has been joining us recently on the podcast, we've noticed a spike a little bit on YouTube, but also on our audio platforms. And people are saying they're finding us via just searching for Star Wars podcasts, which is a huge thing.
Hooray.
So really appreciate it. Everyone who's new to TRB, thank you so much. If you're looking for a Star Wars podcast that still gives you a good time and a good quality discussion about Star Wars, we're glad that you picked us, so we appreciate that. And also just spread the word, because word of mouth is one of the hugest deals when it comes to people learning about the podcast. And anytime someone says, oh, someone had told me about it, or I just caught you guys because of a list of Star Wars podcasts, like, that is so huge to me. And I can't, like, anytime someone says they found the podcast not from social media is huge in my opinion. So I think that's so great, and thank you to everyone who is new to joining us over here.
And sharing our episodes means a lot. Anytime I see a retweet of our episode where someone's saying something nice, it's just like the best.
Yeah, another thing that's really good is, well, number one, like everybody knows, like you go on iTunes and rate it or whatever, but you can really only do that once. Another thing you can do, though, is like if you're particular to a specific podcast app, like for instance, I use Overcast. Overcast lets you rate per episode. They just like, it has like a star, and if you click the star, then it means like I liked this episode or this particular episode. And they like a lot of podcast apps have their own kind of like search engines. So instead of like looking through the internet or Google or whatever, actually just like using your own podcast app helps, or people will search through that. And sometimes the recommendations are completely different than what you might expect from, like, say, just like Apple Podcasts or whatever. And it helps when, you go in and you mark like consistently every episode is like, I'll just remember to star this or whatever. It makes a big deal in the long run for discoverability. Yeah. So
any little bit helps. Because it's what you see here is what you get. It's the three of us doing all this. We're regular people who are just trying to do some really good stuff here, making extra content. So we appreciate everyone who backs us and supports us in any way. So thank you all for that. But now it's time to do the thing. And that's on Mondays is giving our takes on news and all that sort of stuff in the Resistance Report. James?
It's the Resistance.
There is a lot of news actually this week. I think things that we can definitely get into and have a lot of fun discussion on. And the first one just right off, and he will say himself this is not a headline, but hey, we're a Star Wars podcast and we're going to talk about it. Loki showrunner Michael Waldron has been working on the show, and it was speculated or like reported, I guess, a while back that he was involved with working on writing Kevin Feige's movie that he's producing down the line, but it was never actually confirmed, and Feige actually kind of denied it as like just like a rumor or whatever. But now he is talking about it, and he said some very specific things about the process of writing a Star Wars movie and how he might like to go about it. And then how he was asked specifically on how it compares to writing within the MCU and what makes the MCU special. Does any of that stuff carry over into Star Wars? And he had a lot to say about that. John, I'm gonna let you get into it because I felt like
he's a writer.
This might be your new favorite person because the things he said about it, I know were things that were very important to you as a person, as a Star Wars fan. So I wanted to hear your take on this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're right, because he hits on the types of things that I hope never get lost as Star Wars moves on and further away from its origin. Now, I know we also have Dave Filoni, who's George Lucas's understudy, so to speak, kind of at the creative executive level, which is a good thing. But seeing all these new people come in, you're always a little like, oh, all right, just take care of it now.
Yeah, do they
kind of
get
like
it?
Han, kind of like Han with the Falcon, like not a scratch now, okay? Like, take care of it. And they're like, will you get going, you pirate? But no, I like what he had to say, because he says it's about family, and that's echoing that famous line from Carrie Fisher in those promos for the sequel trilogy. It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it. And he gets it. He gets that these stories, even though they're these big franchise, fantastical, action-packed, popcorn type of movies, he understands that they don't work unless you make your characters lovable, that your audience cares about them, and that the characters care about each other. And you see how he writes. I haven't watched Loki yet.
It's so good.
But you see,
it's so good.
Is it?
It's so good.
But you hear good things about what he's doing with Doctor Strange, and I know he's working with, is that Sam Raimi who's doing that with him? But also his words in collaborating with Kevin Feige, and he's talking about the collaborative nature of working together. But really, those minor quotes where he talked about Han, Luke, and Leia, and kind of like it broke you apart when they were split apart, and then when you saw them back together, it warmed you up, and you loved that trio was back together, doing their thing. So everything he said, even though it was very minor, and this is kind of a glossy story in a sense, I absolutely loved. So I'm curious to see what that means for that Kevin Feige movie, because we know nothing about it. We don't know. I don't know that we know that there's a director yet, so I don't think we have that established. But we do know that he is working with Kevin Feige, who's producing this thing. We know how good Feige is at producing movies, so it's going to be good from that end. He looks like it's going to be good from the writing end. Now we need that final piece. Who's the director that's going to step in and direct this movie? The one other cool thing is that he confirmed that he's doing it, because earlier this year it was reported by, Deadline, and, they're good and reputable, but that he's writing it. But now he's just like, yep, I am writing the Kevin Feige Star Wars movie. But although he said project, I think, so that's interesting. But I think it's still going to be a movie. And the last bit, the big giant question mark, like the Riddler's logo, is when is that movie coming out? Because if we have, Patty Jenkins is the next one up for 2023. Taika saying, I hope my next project is my Star Wars movie. There's your 2025 slot. Is this the 2027 movie? Or what I think they might do is reshuffle again and say, those dates are locked in, but we're going to sprinkle in a 2024. We're going to do a 2026.
I think COVID has opened the doors to change any schedule or project or anything. And it's going to be...
I hope so.
I think for at least 5 years, that's going to be the excuse that even if something went wrong, they can say it didn't go wrong and COVID happened, and then they're switching stuff around. I think you're going to see that a lot.
I don't want to wait 6 years to see, these movies that we're talking about on the podcast. You know what I mean?
Disney's got to make back money.
Crazy.
We'll say that.
Yeah. Like James Cameron's one thing, like with this Avatar stuff, and I know we laugh about it, but it's been 12 years. But like Star Wars, like, man, waiting the years for Patty Jenkins' first movie is gonna be enough. Waiting 4 years or 5 years for Taika, oh god, and then it's another 6 years. Like, oh my god, it's so far down the road. So I hope they do restructure the movie schedule a bit.
Yeah, I mean, Taika did recently say that it's not his next thing that he's working on, but he hopes maybe after the next thing or something along those lines.
I think he said after Love and Thunder, he hopes it's the next thing he's working on.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's like he's got things in front, but he's hoping that it's coming sooner than later. But like if you're looking at the schedule that Disney has laid out as far as we know, like locked in movie dates, that would be crazy because he'd be talking about a movie that's coming out in like 2027, and that's like 4 years before he even starts working on it. It's like something just doesn't add up to what's going on here. Lacey, what were your thoughts on Michael Waldron?
So it's funny you guys brought up Taika. I know it's like an obvious thing with the schedule for Star Wars, his movie, everyone's kind of waiting for it. But he's someone that I look at that I'm like, oh, I love his writing style. He's so funny. He's so creative. Every project he's worked on has been amazing. But now I kind of have that feeling about Michael. Loki is so good. It is so good, guys. If you haven't watched it, give it a chance. From the humor to the emotional beats that hit you really hard, it's just something that every episode you're like, no way they're gonna do this, or this is so cool. And it kind of ties, per usual, Marvel's very good at this, it ties all their stuff together, and really makes you relate to every character. Like you can tell that in writing it, he knew fans loved Loki. And that's why I'm fully confident in whatever Star Wars movie or Star Wars project he does, that he's going to make a really, really cool character. Because he took one that was already really cool and really loved and made him that much better. And he's doing a lot of tiebacks to things that we've seen from Loki in the movies. But other than that, I'm just really pumped that, like you said, John, he really gets it. I mean, it's really not hard to get Star Wars. I really have to say it's not that hard. It's the basic themes are there, but you really want someone to work on it that cares. And not saying that people working on it don't care, but he seems to be really about the family stuff. And I know that stuff matters to me. We had that really cool episode that we did weeks back about found family and how important it is. And he talks about Han, Luke, and Leia being a family, which I loved because he used that as the example coming out of why Marvel works so well, is like characters like Han, Luke, and Leia. And I just loved that. So I'm interested to see what he does. I can't wait to see where Loki goes. And if you guys want a sense of who he is as a writer or showrunner, go watch that because it is a perfect example.
Nice.
He also
Doctor Strange fans, I guess, should be excited because you're seeing him do a Marvel thing now. And if he succeeds at this, then people who are excited for that are going to be very excited.
Yeah, exactly. And it also makes sense because this is turning into a Marvel thing. Loki leads into Doctor Strange, like in the timeline of stories and everything. So a lot of stuff that happens in Loki is probably going to affect Doctor Strange, just like WandaVision did. So it's kind of cool that he's doing both those projects because they're going to lead into each other. I'm interested to hear what James thinks because I think he said a lot of cool stuff about Kevin Feige that I was like high-fiving in the air. That he like loves Kevin Feige and he was just being so genuine about it. I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, he just said like at the end of the day, he likes to pay attention to what creators have to say. He wants to hear their ideas. He's very collaborative and he's just an all around like cool dude. And I think that's always that's something that I feel like we've heard for a very long time. So that's not super surprising to me, but it's always that thing that like, I think he also states too that like success hasn't gone to his head. Like he should be someone that walks into a room and it's like, I'm the most important person here. And he just isn't, you know?
Yes.
He doesn't act that way. So yeah, I definitely like that. There was, call me crazy. And this is just because Lucasfilm has led me down multiple paths, but I'm very curious that this guy is the final writer on this project. You know, like we're talking about him right now and we're like, oh, this is cool. But like, who knows? It's so far down the line. Maybe
he got the job after he got Loki. So I wonder if someone at Lucasfilm read Loki and was like, you know what? Bring him in. Or Kevin Feige, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been working with him closely on that and Doctor Strange. I'm just like, I'm afraid that in typical Star Wars fashion, like Doctor Strange ends up being really bad, and like, you know what I mean? And like for whatever reason, they're just like, oh, not Michael Waldron, he's not doing this anymore.
The Book of Henry.
Yeah, it's like
remember when Michael Waldron was writing the Kevin Feige movie? Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have that feeling. I mean, like, how many times has like Obi-Wan gone through different variations and versions, and Rogue One and Andor and stuff, like all these things. Like when I hear about a writer that I've never really encountered before, yes, he is currently working on big projects, but you never know, man. There might be a shakeup. And as we were talking at the beginning of this, it's like so far down the line, who knows? But as of now, I think this guy looks like Henry Cavill's brother, or it could be. So I'm down. I think he seems like a pretty grounded person, hanging out with Kevin Feige and working with him and getting big projects. And also, I wanted to mention too that he's also he's a producer on Loki as well, not just the writer, but also a producer on Rick and Morty, which I've never watched, but I've only ever heard like great things about the show, as far as like people who have become fans of this series like regularly go back to it because it continues to just be great. So I mean, that's another like feather in his hat for the long run. But yeah, I mean, that's all we can say. And like I started with this story too, he said this isn't going to be a headline, and here we are talking about it. But I think it is important to hear that he is talking about it, that he's become kind of an important person with Marvel and him moving over to Lucasfilm. That's a good thing. And that of the things he states, Lacey, you pointed out that it's very basic, but at least he gets that, you know.
Yeah,
sometimes it scares me. Sometimes some people,
you don't need to recreate the wheel type thing.
Fundamental. Yeah.
All
right, let's move on to our next story, which involves another Disney Plus property, and that's Obi-Wan Kenobi. Apparently, some people did not get the memo. You're supposed to be covering up all your outfits, but we have
that's the point of the robes.
many leaked photos of Ewan McGregor, random stormtroopers and Imperial people, as well as what might be Indira Varma's character. That could possibly be her. We saw her in an Imperial outfit, so the speculation is starting to run that, you know, we're starting to get an idea of maybe what type of a character she could be playing. I'm starting with you on Lacey, or with you on this one, Lacey. Do you think that's her, and do you think that she's going to play an Imperial character?
I thought you were going to say, and do you think they know how to wear robes? I was going to say, no, they don't, because they use the same ones on Marvel shows, and like they talk about how they tightly like close them and everything. Yeah. Yes, that's definitely her. It's like it could be like her taking a selfie. Like it's clearly her. I think she is an Imperial person, which is interesting to me because going into this just proves how fun it is to be a Star Wars fan and to speculate. I was like, oh, Skarsgård's going to be a bad guy and she's going to probably be a good person. And now the completely flipped. Like my whole opinion has flipped in the matter of 2 weeks. Other than that, the other stuff is not that surprising. The stormtrooper guy like clearly looks like a stormtrooper. Like he could just be wearing white boots and you'd be like, okay, stormtrooper. And then the other guy's like the one guy's with his coffee. He's like just chilling in his Imperial garb. The thing that stuck out to me, only because I love being right, is that Ewan looks like Ewan. He's not gray and old. He looks like Ewan, just a little not dirty. Yet. A little on the dirty hair.
Wait till Vader gets his hands on him.
I just wanted to shove that in John's face because it looks like Ewan.
I have another thing I'm going to backpedal on too, which this is going to be a bad show for me, but we'll get
to that. Quick question. Indira Varma was not the person that said, I play with lightsabers, right?
No, that was Moses from Queen's Gambit.
Okay, yeah. Because my first thought when I saw the pictures was that this might be the end of that whole like she's playing an Inquisitor thing, but that's someone else. Okay.
Nope, different person.
All right, interesting. So John, what were your thoughts and what's your first, I guess, backpedal?
Well, yeah, the first backpedal is I don't know what the first backpedal is. I mean, who knows what
you can say it right. It's okay.
Like. I mean, he could still have to go through makeup and stuff.
I'll take the
when
win.
he arrives on set.
NBD.
And stuff, so, I don't know. Anyway, these photos here, I agree. That's definitely her without question. I do think it's funny that they're basically wearing what you put on when you go to like Supercuts and they give you a haircut. They're like, here's this black bag and you got to put it around yourself. So you don't
it looks
get
like
hair
a
all over
trash
your
bag
body.
or something.
Yeah. And they are very sloppy with it. It looks like a Missy Elliott video. But I think, and it's funny, like you take the picture and it just makes you, it really does a little bit put everything into context about how serious fans take this stuff. And then you see her like with a half-drank bottle of Schweppes and she's got her like cell phone in her hand, which is like clearly in one of those package things that you need to get like released.
Oh yeah.
And she's walking in front of a Porsche by the trailer with like bottles of Windex and Zepp and stuff. It's just like, this is a production set and she's an actor doing her job, clearly playing an Imperial. So that, I think that is interesting. I do like the second picture better though, because you need, like when you have Imperials, you need an old tall white man, and there's that guy.
Yeah, the guy. Yes,
he looks
That's
like
him.
Tarkin
or Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does look. I mean, it's not Richard E. Grant because Richard E. Grant does the Jack
Of course not. I'm saying he just
hair.
looks like him because he's tall and he.
Yeah, and then you have the other guy who looks like the lead singer from Iron Maiden. It's just funny seeing these guys like walk in, and I bet those two are both Imperials, and that guy did a good job tightening up his thing. He's probably like, I'm the worst actor here. I'm following all of the policies.
Because they look like
I am not getting fired.
They look like they have the same boots, but that's what's funny too is Indira's wearing a hat, so it literally it does not matter. She could be 100% covered up. It's like
she's got the hat
wearing
on.
an Imperial hat, like.
And then the Stormtrooper guy. And by the way, this article it's on our site, StarWarsNewsNet.com. Yeah. It's the article Obi-Wan Kenobi, more leaked photos could hint at Indira Varma's role.
Also,
but the last photo.
Yeah, you can find it in the description.
Yeah, in the description. Well, if you're on YouTube.
Should
the
be
last
on
photo you got
podcast apps too, though.
Oh, all right, anywhere. All right. The last photo is the Stormtrooper. Looks like he just went out for a cigarette and he's walking back in. He looks like he's having a rough time in the heat or something. I'm not really sure.
He knows he's gonna die.
But it's fun. It's fun. It's fun seeing these photos because it's not giving anything away, and it's just showing how sometimes, like in this context, how silly Star Wars is. Because you look at this and like you see like real life settings behind them, and it just makes it funny to me. But I enjoy it. I think it's going to be really great. And the only thing I'm curious about is they must have been, it's the same set as far as I understand it, or same location. They had a tighter ship when it came to security for the Book of Boba Fett, I guess, because we didn't really get set leaks for that. And that filmed for 7 months.
Maybe COVID. People aren't out and about. Restrictions have been loosened everywhere.
People who take these photos, they don't care about that.
I'm saying that because they wouldn't let people around, they'd be more like due diligent about making sure people aren't standing around or
maybe. Yeah.
You know, and that is a pretty good segue into our next story too, because Temuera Morrison was doing a Rotten Tomatoes interview, and he was talking. One of the things that he specifically mentioned is that Robert Rodriguez is coming back to direct some of the episodes. Now, the reason I say that's interesting to segue into this from where we just were is that there really wasn't any leaks for any of Mandalorian except for the one where they like went off location and there were people like walking around the area taking pictures of the troopers and stuff in that area. And that was Robert Rodriguez's choice of where to shoot at and his episode, that we got a bunch of leaks out of that episode. So it's funny that he's involved in Book of Boba Fett, and yet this time we didn't get anything. So I don't know, but his thing, like he says, his actual quote to Temuera Morrison is that they brought Robert back in to direct a few more. There have been some wonderful directors involved. It's hard to work with now. What we do now, a whole new system with COVID in place and health and safety regulations and stuff. So maybe that's what Lacey's saying, is that part of the safety regulations caused them to be a little bit more close set than we're used to. John, I'm going to bounce back at you really quickly on this one. There is more to this interview, more things that he has said. What are your thoughts on Robert Rodriguez coming back?
Love it. Everything that he brought to the table for The Mandalorian was this backyard rawness, 8mm style of cowboy filmmaking, and I loved his episode of The Mandalorian. I have watched it maybe just as much, if not more, as the other episodes of that season. I think I've watched his episode more than I watched The Return of Luke.
Wow.
I really enjoyed what he did, the minimalist approach, and his way of shooting action scenes, and I think he's great. And look what he did for Boba Fett. Like that whole scene where Boba Fett is just like, you finally are getting the Boba Fett that all those kids who got that action figure before they ever saw Boba Fett on TV got, and he brought it. And you're getting more of that, and at least multiple episodes of that from Robert Rodriguez. I would not be surprised if Robert Rodriguez sets the tone on this series and does the first episode. I think that would be a good choice, because you already know he delivered, so why not do the lock, the one that works, get the fans excited, like he's doing the first one? Hell yeah, absolutely. But here's where I'm going to do my backpedal and admit I was probably wrong in my guess. This is probably going to be 8 episodes now, for multiple reasons. One, you had that hot tub video of Temuera Morrison.
Hot tub video. I was going to bring that up. I was like, did anybody watch that? Because I did.
It was amazing.
In my hometown.
We're just filming Book of Boba. 7 months from December to now.
The best part is the other person in the
Hot
tub.
Springs.
The other person that's like...
The camera person, yeah. Right.
I'd be that camera person. What up?
Yeah.
Temp.
So, I think filming for 7 months, that's the same time frame that The Mandalorian filmed for, and he's alluding to the fact that there's other directors and that Robert Rodriguez did a few more. Mm-hmm. So you just do the math, and you got to assume it's 8. I don't think they're going to take this series and go above Mandalorian. So I think it will be 8. I think they'll match it. And that'll be, season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. Now, that it still remains to be seen whether it's a one and done. I know that the crew stuff had season 1 on it. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, because they could leave the option open. But it is very curious. But I initially thought it was going to be 4 episodes, because I thought the vibe was that it was going to be some sort of like mini little run, like this tight little mini thing, like shorter than Kenobi. But I am retracting that guess, and I'm going to say it's probably going to be 8 episodes.
And another piece that goes into that too is the fact that they just did the whole, like, they're kind of calling it Mandalorian season 2.5 or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that it's less than a season, but I think it's just like, it's the holdover until we get that next season. So if you're just looking at a Disney release schedule, they're probably looking to come up with something that's similar to Mandalorian in the space that Mandalorian used to be in, potentially. So, Lacey, what are your thoughts on Robert Rodriguez? It's a hard name to say.
It's funny. I'm not a fan of his work because I don't like gory things. I'm not a fan of like horror movies or like Quentin Tarantino stuff. Which
Shark
I've said on
Boys
here.
or Lava Girls.
That's a little different. I'm talking like his gory stuff because Matt likes that stuff. We have posters of it in our house, where the girl has like a machine gun leg and stuff.
Planet Terror.
Yeah. So anyway, that being said, the funny thing is going into The Mandalorian season 2, when they announced he was doing an episode, I was kind of like, oh gosh, where are we going to go with this? Are we going to go gory? And surprisingly, we didn't go gory, but it was still like really badass. Like it was really, really cool. I loved it. It like caught me off guard how much I loved it. I was like, I feel like a bad person for enjoying these guys getting beat up so much. So I'm really pumped that he's coming back. I'm not surprised. They said he was involved. And I feel like once we got that gallery episode where he was talking behind the scenes, where he was so pumped that he was like remaking the action sequence in the backyard with his sons with their action figures, and the way Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni talked about how he went above and beyond what was asked of him. They were more than happy to give him, more work and more stuff to do, especially with this character, because he did it perfectly. John and I will openly tell you we went into this being like, Boba Fett, whatever, but like, I'm a big fan now. I love it. He's great. So I'm interested to see what he does. I do love that Tem keeps just giving all the info. He's the one that leaked on that website. Last year, he's the one that's in a hot tub telling people like information. He's in his garage.
It's his time.
He's living it up, and I love that for him. I hope he has the best time, or continues to. It's his time to shine, and he deserves it because he kicked butt in The Mandalorian. So I'm really excited for him.
Yeah. I still wouldn't put that episode as like one of my favorite episodes in season 2. But I'm with Lacey in the sense that like I was kind of bummed with Robert Rodriguez as a name, and I was totally cool with the episode. Like,
I liked Alita.
It's not my favorite, but I liked it.
That's a not really too gory movie, but I did like Alita.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it yet. But it is one that for some reason I want to see, and I just haven't yet. I think I forget about it for some reason. Very rabid fan base, by the way, Alita fans. They're like Make Solo 2 fans. They
gave out these like coins for Alita when he came to visit. I have his autograph in the other room actually, because he did like signatures at the event I was at for Alita Battle Angel, and they gave out these like coins. I had bags of these coins, and I was just like, I don't need them anymore. I threw them out. They're selling on eBay for $15 a piece.
Wow.
And I threw out 2 bags of like 60 coins.
Jeez.
I know. I hate myself.
I want the Favreau coin, like those little Mando coins.
Good luck. They're tough.
Yeah,
They're
no,
tough
I
to
know.
get.
I'm just saying.
Write him a letter. Dear Mr. Favreau.
Do they have any Star Wars cryptocurrencies I can get involved in?
Star Wars cryptocurrency? Not yet.
They're mostly memes. There's Disney ones. Like Disney named ones.
Well, let's move on with this Rotten Tomatoes interview that he was doing too, because he also mentioned, and I'll just go ahead and quote him right here. Well, we can't say too much, but we're going to see his past and where he's been since The Empire Strikes Back. Somebody pointed out that he's kind of been stuck in one place, and now's the time to actually go back in time and check out his journey and find out more about him. So it's funny, we speculated a lot about what the Book of Boba Fett series was going to be last Thursday, and then shortly after, actually before we publicly published that video, he comes out and kind of talks about this stuff. And it's interesting because it seems to point that we're going to get a lot of flashbacks, but I still think the series is going to take place at the age that he's currently at. So I want to hear what you guys thought about that. Lacey, I guess I'll start with you on this one. What are your thoughts on we're going to find out where he's been since The Empire Strikes Back?
I mean, to me, that's not as surprising that we would get at least one flashback. I think they need to explain how he lived. I think that's the first thing that they have to at least give a glimpse of, like, how did this happen? Because, it's insinuated that he just crawled his way out, blasted his way out, whatever. But like, to show that would be really, really crazy, especially if he comes out of the Sarlacc and like, the katana's all blown up. There's just wreckage everywhere. And he's like, wow, I have failed in every way and everyone's dead. So the flashbacks don't surprise me. What surprises me is, like you said, James, that there seems to be a lot of them, because that's a big chunk of time between Empire Strikes Back and Mando. So I wonder what kinds of things they're going to explore. And it also got me excited, which I believe is in the article as well, that it means he's probably leaving Tatooine. We're not getting a full season of him on a desert planet again. He's going to be all over the place. But I'm interested to see, like you pointed out, James, how he's going to do that with, are they going to de-age him? Are they going to bring someone else in the suit for younger like years, stuff like that?
That's what I kind of considered, that there might actually be like a new person playing Boba, or I don't know, maybe they do the Daniel Logan thing or something, but I don't think they would, but maybe even just with like the helmet on or something, like, to keep just in the family or something along those lines. John, did you have anything that popped out to you?
Well, just what's interesting about the whole story group element of this thing, because they do have that comic book run Bounty Hunter going on that is taking place during that same time frame. They obviously knew, as one was being worked on, that the other was being scripted, that they would be in conjunction. So they had to make sure that there was a continuity element to this, which makes me think, maybe it's for fan service sake, like we're going to see Han Solo and Carbonite in live action again, or something like that. Whether they go all the way to, East Platform, seeing where Boba goes immediately after leaving Cloud City, and adds a little bit of layer to The Empire Strikes Back. We went with the crew in the Falcon and to go get Luke. Where did Boba Fett go? And it adds like it's almost like a little mini episode insert of like The Empire Strikes Back, which that excites me to think about. Yeah. Because you can see, like, while this is going on over here, let's check in with what Boba Fett was doing immediately after leaving Cloud City.
And
so
they can
I find that
recreate
very
that.
interesting.
They don't need Harrison Ford to remake the block of carbonite.
They don't need to do that at all. And or one of our patrons, Chris, can make it and give it to
Still
them.
waiting for mine, Chris.
Yeah. But no, that kind of thing excites me. I don't know how much they're going to be able to do because you have, the short time span, I think less than a year between Empire and Return of the Jedi. And they're doing that in the comic run, so I don't know how much they're going to overlap that. So then you think, like Lacey said, maybe it is going to be post Return of the Jedi, and you see him get out, and that makes a lot of sense because that is a compelling thing. Like the Dark Knight Rises, the best part of the movie, when the music swells and Bruce finally jumps out and gets out of that cave. You can get that moment for Boba Fett in this, with some pretty cool music behind it. And I think that could be a really good thing because people were always wondering, like Lacey said, how the hell did he get out of there?
I'm one of those people. I'm wondering.
He has the acid scars, all his hair's burned off.
Right.
Obviously, it wasn't an easy escape. He didn't just get out. So that'd be interesting to see. And does someone help him get out? Does he encounter someone once he gets out? So there's a lot of things that we can explore there. So I think that might be it. So my guess, if I had to just throw a guess out there, even though I had to, eat my words from retracting other stuff.
Lacey said 8. That's twice I'm right in this episode.
But I'm pretending I'm not.
I know.
But I think we'll get an immediate Empire Strikes Back sort of thing to enrich that story, and then definitely see him get out of the Sarlacc. But most of it, I agree with you, James. Most of it will take place in current time.
Yeah,
it's not gonna be The Godfather 2, where it's like, if we're going back, going forward, going back.
Sure. Yeah, because one thing I noticed too is that when you think of like, well, let's pick up with Boba Fett, is you think Return of the Jedi, and he specifically says Empire. So all the points of what you're saying too about the carbonite and the stuff, that all takes place before Return of the Jedi. So there's that kind of in between. So I think you're dead on with that. And the other thing I like that you said there was that the comics are carrying over in that time frame too. So I bet now if you're reading that, it will pay off when you watch the show, because you'll be like, oh, they were seeding this and they knew it and it was coming. Yeah. And so now that's they're not actively promoting that, but that is, from our point of view, now is the time to jump into Bounty Hunters, because you probably will see something like pay off, like even potentially Kira, or something crazy.
Yeah, because Josh Horowitz just asked her about Lando or something like that, but I don't think he asked her about Boba Fett, because maybe he didn't realize that she was popping up in the comic.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, she's like, oh, thank God.
They spent a lot of time talking about Marvel and superheroes and stuff like that, but not that much about Star Wars. He waited till the very end to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah. No, I think this is cool. I'm pretty excited about this series, for sure. I'm a little scared that we're gonna get Jabba. Well, I want Jabba in Solo. I don't want Jabba for Boba Fett. I mean,
depends.
I get the connection,
because then it sets it up for Solo. They have the puppet.
Yeah,
made.
I mean, they could, but I think like that big like on-screen return of Jabba would be marketed as like the Boba thing, and then when it's the Solo thing, or when they do it like a year later or whatever, it's like, meh, we already saw this. It's like, come
How
on.
are they not?
Yeah. I don't know that they're gonna do that. Like you said, John, there's that period of time where like it implies that he takes Captain Solo straight to Jabba, but we've clearly seen multiple people have him in their possession for at least a little while. You know what I mean? He only ends up with Jabba. So
a member of the Star Wars Lucasfilm story group told us, quote, "I would love to see a Solo series on Disney Plus." Come on!
Yeah,
can't take it anymore.
Definitely want to see it happen, man. No, I'm excited for Boba Fett. Couple other things that we wanted to mention real quick is that the Disney Plus show Star Wars Visions, which is an anthology series, as I understand it, that is based around anime as their medium, is finally getting a little bit of a like an announcement or some news happening around it. Sneak peek, yeah. July 3rd coming up is going to be the sneak preview at 3 p.m. It's 30 minutes long. It's from Lucasfilm. They talk a little bit about how they're excited. It's an Anime Expo, so obviously they're wanting to dip their toe in this genre and this style and bring in some of these fans. I think more than I love anime and animated projects and stuff like that, but I think more than anything, Lacey's probably the most excited about this one in particular.
Oh, I'm so pumped.
Yeah, and I definitely would like to see it I would like to see an ongoing series, but I also really like the idea that they'll do like episodic and it's like new adventures, and I just kind of would hope I hope that it's not stories we already know,
right? Like Galaxies of Adventure.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know we don't know those stories, but like, I would hate for it to be like, Obi-Wan and Anakin are Padawan and Master, and I'm like, I know this. Come on, man. I want to see new characters, new creative things, and new worlds and things like that. So,
and if people want to watch it, you can watch it virtually. They're doing a Anime Expo Lite, I believe, for $5 that you can pay $5 and watch the whole panel, the 30-minute panel.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, and the last thing that we wanted to talk about was that there are just tons of like High Republic stuff going on. So if you guys want to keep up with that stuff without actually having to like buy all of it or read all of it or partake in all that stuff, all that content is covered at StarWarsNewsNet.com. There's reviews, and then there's like spoiler type walkthroughs, like what happened in. I know I do those videos with Kyle, but there's also just write-ups that you and like clips and stuff, like images of what happens in the comics, so you can get an idea of what's going on without actually having to partake in that media 100%. So StarWarsNewsNet.com is a great place to keep up with all your Star Wars stuff. So that is, I think, pretty much it. I feel like there were a couple other things that I was going to say, but I forgot what they were. So let's move on to the next section, which is, of course, the Patreon pod race. Lacey?
All right, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. So there are lots of ways that you can support us. You can support us on Twitter at RBATSWNN, on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast, on YouTube, like the videos, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And if you want more, including extra bonus episodes, live streams, and much more, you can head over to patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. I was doing it backwards in my head. Patreon.com/Resistance Broadcast. Starting at $2 a month, you can get access to the channel and just kind of a part of the community. You can comment, be watching the videos with us, take part in the live streams. We started doing watch-alongs for the movies as well as our monthly Q&As, so it's a really cool way to engage with us outside of the show. Yeah. And as you go up in the ranks, you get more access, including our Discord, which is nuts, and much more.
Awesome.
So this segment, we have people be a part of the show. So today we have a new general. His name is John Chorlton from the UK. John, how's it going? We're excited to have you on the show. And we're going to ask him a question. But before I do that, I want to thank our current generals and Spice Runners. So thank you, Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, John Reese, Jenna Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Paul Olsen, Jake Houchins, Oliver Lewis, Frank Grande, Haz Haslam, Joe Ritchie, Darth Hurricane, Timothy Hill, John Chorlton, Nick Kratz, Christian Morales, and Val Trichkoff. I just want you to know, muscle memory, I remembered that Neil Shaw was next. Neil, I remember that you were next in the lineup. So I said it in my head. But you're a Spice Runner. So thank you to Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Double C Chris, Kendall Gelnar, Ryan Wara, Dave Hornag, and Micah Harrison.
Holy
How
cow.
crazy is that I remembered Neil Shaw was next?
It just came out.
Oh my goodness. Crazy. All right. So John, you're up. Chorlton. We're excited to have you on the show for your first time.
Yes.
What's up, buddy?
His question was, we know you like your favorite characters are Luke, Obi-Wan, and Rey. So the people need to know, who wins in a 3-person lightsaber duel between them?
Ooh.
That's tough. This is a tough one.
Yeah, I thought it was a good question for
John, take it away.
Hey, TRB. I feel like that Obi-Wan would win the lightsaber battle between Luke and Rey. This is because that Obi-Wan has some pretty cool stances and moves up his sleeve, and that he has more experience because he's fought Darth Maul and Anakin on separate occasions and was pretty badass in both of them. I feel like Rey would lack the experience, even though she did battle Palpatine at the end of the last movie. And with Luke, I'm a bit unsure of where he stands, simply the fact I've only seen him battle once with Vader and Palpatine. So that's all, TRB. I shall catch you soon.
Well done, John, for your first time. This is so cool to have you on the show.
Yeah.
Other John, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Well, first of all, you did a great job, John. Great job there. Did you do one take? Was it a one take pod race? Be honest. Let us know. But I think I liked the pick. I think Obi-Wan is the right pick there. And he gave good reasons for it. You know, Rey did beat Palpatine, but Palpatine wasn't using a lightsaber, so who knows? You know, we only saw her really fight Kylo Ren. At the same token, he brought up, we only really saw Luke fight Darth Vader in the movies. And Obi-Wan just has like an old veteran fighter. He has quite the resume, quite the track record. He beat Darth Maul twice. Some would say he killed him twice. He took down Darth Vader. He let Darth Vader beat him. Okay. Who knows what's going to happen in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But yeah, Obi-Wan has the most experience out of the three. So to me, it would make sense that he, being the higher ranked, more seasoned, more veteran, more master Jedi, would take care of business and find a way to win that battle. Even though he would obviously be reluctant to do so because he loves Luke so much. And he obviously looked over Rey as a spirit. So, but if you had to in a vacuum put those three in there, I think Obi-Wan's the one coming out on top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
James, what do you think?
Yeah, this question actually sort of wrecked me. I don't even know so much it was the question as it was the answer, because it really got me thinking in a very specific way. First of all, you are great job on the pod race, but totally the correct answer, in my opinion, is that Obi-Wan, and where you're coming from is that he beat Anakin, he beat Maul, and so like on the, well, this person's really powerful and this person beat them, so they should be up here kind of thing. It wrecked me because I was like, Rey should not be able to beat Palpatine. You know, I started thinking, I was like, man, how could they like remedy that? And I was like, maybe if it was like the unknown information of the dyad, and they did like, you know, Ben
it was all
and
the Jedi
Rey were
coming
able
together.
to do, you know, something. And that's kind of the explanation, is all of the Sith versus all of the Jedi, light wins kind of thing.
Yeah. But
it was tricky. But then again, I went down that rabbit hole, and then I remember the most basic of things, that Luke beats Vader, Vader beats the Emperor, Emperor beats Luke, and it happens in the course of like 5 minutes. It's like rock, paper, scissors. There is no member that was the strongest. They all were equally stronger than the other in that specific moment whenever they were battling the other person. So I don't know. It's kind of funny. But yeah, great answer, great reasons, great pod race. So glad to have you. General.
John, great job. I really loved your answer too, because that's what I would have chosen for pretty much the exact same answer. You can't, Obi-Wan's the GOAT. I say it all the time. He's really, really great, and he's beat so many people. I also see that you like Harry Potter. Very cool. Harry Potter is the best. So enjoyed that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, the poster. Yeah.
So now we're going to head to our John in the show.
Hey.
Right here.
To do Ask the Resistance. Yeah. It's back.
It's back, baby!
You blew out the microphone.
I don't know what happened.
Did I?
It's probably in the real recording. We'll find out.
God.
Yeah.
James is like, my edit.
Everyone turned down their volume.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
All right, yeah. Ask the Resistance is back. We're going to tackle all these together. We have 3 questions, so thank you to those of you who submitted questions. It's good to be doing this again. We took about a month or so off. Who knows if we're going to do it once a month? Well, we'll see how things go, but it's good to be bringing it back into the rotation here. If you do want a question on the show, use hashtag AskTheResistance on Twitter, or you can email us, resistancebroadcast@gmail.com, or however else you find us. If you're a patron in the chats, whatever, just make sure that we're able to call it back, because as you saw last week, we had to bring back a question from a year ago. We got called out on it. So just let us know where the questions are. We'll find them. All right. First up, we have Stephen Bowman, Stephen A. Bowman on Twitter. What is going on, Stephen? How you doing, buddy? Violinist, as we know. He asked, who is a classic character that you would like to see appear in the Book of Boba? Since it appears we will be getting flashbacks of some type. Well, we kind of cheated by tackling this a little earlier. I'm going to say Han Solo in Carbonite, and I think that counts. So I'm picking that as my choice. How about you guys?
Yeah, I like that answer. I would say probably Salacious B. Crumb. Why not?
Oh, really?
I want more creatures in Star Wars. I feel like we never get enough, and that's like me being greedy, but like I really want more creatures. And not in cages about to be roasted. I'm talking like the one that's laughing and having a great time.
But if you get him, that means you're getting Jabba.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Just cool creatures, I guess, is my cop-out answer. Yeah. Like something really cool.
I like that. James, what do you got?
I don't know. Maybe this is kind of a cop-out answer too, but I'll go with Bosk. I think that
more bounty hunters.
Yeah. I mean, that could kind of be cool. I think he's kind of been a character that we haven't got a lot of, but he's always kind of been like, when you think of the small group of bounty hunters, like a character that would be kind of cool to see on screen.
I don't know if they've explained this or not. They may have already, but I think it would be cool if they got Dengar to appear and Boba Fett's the one who does whatever happens to him and turns him into Hrothgar Dang.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true.
He is messed up, dude. He looks like Tim. Ever see Backdraft? He looks like Tim from Backdraft.
Yeah, I don't know. My impression was that he was like plastic surgery, like doing that to himself kind of thing to like hide his identity or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
But no, I mean, I absolutely would. I hope that show ends up going down the route of like explaining crazy stuff that happened to characters.
That would be cool, man.
Like,
take advantage of the content, because just like our Star Wars movies are only 2 hours and 20 minutes. They're doing all these shows. They're going to be hours and hours of stuff. You got to add more than just about that character, because then that character has more content than Luke Skywalker. You know, so you got to pepper other stuff in there. But all right, next one we have the Brad Batch.
Love that. Love it.
At Brad_E_ Herring. What is going on?
Brad was like, my time has come as a Star Wars fan and renaming myself.
Right. And then there's some guy named Chad, like
Chad Batch.
It's not the same because he's not the B.
I know. Yeah, poor Chad. So he asked, what will be the next live action property we see Grogu in? I say Mandalorian Season 3. That's my pick. It's coming back.
Oh, I thought you meant outside of that.
I don't, whether he did or not, that's my pick. I think that's
the obvious pick. Yes, that.
Mandalorian Season 3. Well, I would also say the possible next obvious pick could be Ahsoka.
Yes.
They could wait until Ahsoka, and then we get the Ahsoka and meetup. Luke meetup. Yeah, and Grogu is there, and that kind of pulls us back, makes that moment extra special. And
Ezra meets Grogu.
Yeah, and if not that, they definitely said that they were going to do that big team up thing where all the shows culminate and cross over and stuff. I can't imagine Baby Yoda is not involved in that,
Right.
Just the marketing of it. Like, he's been gone, he's back, so it's like that. If all else fails in all these other shows, that has got to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good call. All right, we got one more here from Jamie G at Roxy Peanut. I like that handle. What's up, Jamie? And she asked, do you think there will be another Book of mini-season like with Boba between Mando seasons, but with Bo-Katan instead? Some sort of mini-story where other Mandos are the focus since The Mandalorian is the main story. That's interesting. I don't know. I never really thought about it.
Bo-Katan does have a nice ring to it, but I kind of feel like her story's so entwined with The Mandalorian at this point that it would be weird to have her veer off because now she's so stuck with him because of the darksaber.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's, at this point, we're in this day and age where anyone can have their own story, and that's what fans are all about, backstory, the origin story and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of see Bo-Katan as more of a supporting character. Not to say that Boba Fett wasn't, though, So I don't know, James, what do you think?
I mean, you're exactly right on that point, John. Like, if you would have been like, who's the first character to get a spin-off series from The Mandalorian? I don't know that many people would have been like, well, obviously, old Boba Fett,
Right.
I don't think that would have been the first pick. I mean, Bo-Katan is not a bad choice. I think if I was going to see a Bo-Katan series, I would hope it would be closer to that like Rebels era because we'd get to see her with the sword and how she lost it. That being said, now that we know that Book of Boba Fett is doing flashbacks, this seems possible. So I'm going to go out and say, Jamie, I think you might be onto something here that Dave Filoni would be like, oh, hey, I gave you Boba, John. Now it's my turn. Now it's my book of series. We're going to do Bo-Katan kind of thing. So, I think it could be neat. I'd like to see it.
Right on. All right. That wraps that segment up. So we want to thank everybody for participating. We hope you liked our answers. Let us know what your takes are on those questions, though, in the comments, on Twitter. Quote tweet the episode with your thoughts on what happened on this episode. We appreciate that. But more importantly, thanks for being part of the Resistance, joining us here in the base. From the three of us, thank you. And make sure you do subscribe to the show, like I said at the top, whatever your preferred audio platform is, or YouTube. Star Wars Newsnet for all of your Star Wars news, of course, like James said before. If you want some merch, we have our store. If you haven't gotten your, Make Solo 2 Happen stuff yet, the new shirt, Never Tell Us the Odds, that wasn't just a one-day thing. That is in the store now. Mm-hmm. We have enamel pins. Go to resistancebroadcast.creator-spring.com and pick out what you like. And away you go. There's tank tops too. If you want to be a bro like me, summertime, show off the guns. There you go. All right. Lacey hates that.
I do hate that.
Okay. You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey, at StarWarsNewsNet.com. Just Like the Movies, my movie podcast, my buddy Mike, and in your hearts and minds and souls. James, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Meyer Trunks, as well as Bad Batch Reaction Show. If you caught last Friday's episode, it was a good one. Go check it out.
Nice. Lacey.
If you're dumb like me and can't remember websites, you can also go to store.resistancebroadcast.com, and it goes right there to the store. But other than that, I've got nothing going on. I've got stuff planning coming soon, but right now, nothing. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin.
Nice. All right. We'll be back on Thursday. We're bringing back the Kessel Run, where we're going to get a little spicy by going over the top 12 best insults in Star Wars. So it's gonna be a fun one. So think of yours that you love hearing, the little quips, the little jabs, and we'll have fun together on Thursday. But enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you Thursday morning with another episode right here on TRB. We'll see you around, kids.